What's up, droners, and welcome to another Droner Dialogue. And before I even get started on this one of the things I want to ask you guys is for a favor. The first thing I want you guys to do that I'm really asking for, outside of sharing my videos, because you should definitely do that, is give me some things you want me to talk about in the comments, because I can talk, obviously. But if you guys give me really cool subjects and things to talk about, obviously I listen, like I did the drone pricing video. So give me thoughts and things that you guys want to hear, and I will look at them and see which ones I think can turn into Droner Dialogue videos and give you a shout out if you're the one who hooked me up with the idea. So I'll appreciate that. So, all right, so let's just get into it. What we're going to talk about today is actually kind of a piggyback off of the drone pricing video, because in that video, what we talked about was here's how I price my drone pricing. Here's what the considerations for that. And it's funny because like after I put out that video, literally like the next day, I had a friend hit me up like, yo, like a friend, like, yo, man, what's up, man? I'm doing this music video. You know, can you come fly drones for me? And of course that means that he wants to get it on that low, as in like he doesn't want to pay me, but he just wants me to show up because he's like, you love me, right? You know, kind of thing. And I was like, you know, I get a lot of calls where people are asking me to fly drones for them for free. I get a lot of those calls. Just like I'm sure if you own a camera or you own anything, like, oh, you have a pickup truck, then your friends want you to move. Like people are always going to be asking for free stuff because they think it's, you know, they just do. That's just what's going to happen. So I just want to tell you guys a little bit about how I approach that, because, you know, sometimes I do that. So the first thought I always have is whenever anybody calls me to fly for anything, I always have to do the considerations thought. And this is even like if it's money or not, is like I always like do like I'm a producer at heart, so I always think of like the risk versus reward, like is the juice worth the squeeze kind of thing. And so like I'm always thinking about that. So if somebody calls me, for example, my friend calls me and says, hey, I want you to fly for me, I'm doing a music video, I want you to fly off this boat. And for me, I'm like, okay, risk. What are the risks of flying off a boat? First of all, the risk of always flying is losing your drone and whatever the investment in the drone that you have is, especially if you don't have it insured. Second risk is flying into somebody and hurting somebody. Third risk is to damage property. So those are the three things I really worry about anytime I'm going to be flying, is like, what is the risk associated with each one of those? Now, for example, on this one, flying from a boat, the risk comes in as like, okay, well, what are the chances I'm gonna lose the drone? That's probably the most thing that's gonna happen the most on a boat, because the boat's moving and there's not many people to hit. So I'm like, so I might lose this drone. So I was like, all right, well, I might lose the drone, but how big is the boat? You know, because that matters. If it's like a little, you know, like a, you know, a rowboat, then yeah, I'm probably not gonna be able to fly off of it, because it's like I don't have a real place to land or take off. Or if it's a yacht, then I'm like, yo, this is easy. And it also depends on where we're flying. Are we going to be out in the middle of the ocean, or are we going to be in a harbor where it's smooth? So asking all those questions and getting the information of exactly what you're doing is a big deal when you're assessing the liability. And for me, when somebody asks for something for free, like I'm going to want all three of those liabilities to be low as possible. Because if I feel like I'm going to lose my drone, I'm going to hurt somebody, or anything, or I'm going to damage somebody else's property, then why would I do this for free? You know, typically if somebody's asking you to do something for free, that means they don't have the money to pay you, number one. And number two, that also means they don't have the money to be able to fix anything if it gets broken or anything like that. So typically most people, when they ask and hit me up and say, hey, can you do free drone work? My most common answer is, of course, no. Or if people hit me up and ask for like really cheap drone work. Like I've had somebody hit me up recently and ask me to do drone work for, you know, $100, literally $100. And he's a friend. So like for me, I'm just like, when I do the drone pricing, like I was saying before, I have two different kinds of rates. I'm like, here's my professional rates, here's my friend rates. Didn't talk about the friend rates. But they're just reduced. And you know, it's like, here's a reduced rate for the people who I know and I believe in the project. So one thought that I really like to, all right, I'm gonna get in my feels for a second, y'all. I'm gonna get in my feels for a second, is that, you know, I'm starting to see myself a little bit as a creative. Not really, but kinda, because I'm more of a producer. But the understanding that I live in Los Angeles and it's like the land of the creatives. And there's a bunch of people that have a dream and they're going after it. They're busting tables, working in restaurants. They're doing whatever it takes. And a lot of people are doing whatever they can to be able to achieve their dream. That's why they came here. And I feel for them. That's for me. I'm very empathetic to that, where I'm just like, if I believe in your creativity, your work ethic, and your project, then I think you should, I feel like I should help them if I can. And that's something I would ask of you too as well, droners. If you know people that are doing something that's creative, that's like a good thing, and they're a good person and they're working hard, then you know it's a good thing to do. It's a good thing to help people, and that's what I like to do. You know, show up to stuff, show up and support them or whatever, even surprise them with stuff. But that's a whole different ball game. But I'm saying for a drone and flying for free, for me, the biggest reason I'll do it is because of that. Is because I believe in their work ethic, I believe in their project, and I believe in them. and I want to help them out. So I will do that. And either it's because I just believe in like that project, or I believe it's an investment. One reason I will never fly for free is if somebody's hitting me up to do something for profit and doesn't want to cut me in. If they hit me up and say, oh, I'm a real estate agent, or I'm doing inspections, or I own this land and I want to do field inspections for my agriculture, or something like that, or I want to get these shots for this piece for a Hulu show or something, like, no, like you're gonna pay me for that because you're directly being paid off of what I'm doing. And there's a huge difference between somebody doing something creatively and hopefully one day selling it and getting paid for it, because selling stuff is so hard to do. When it comes to distribution rights and all that kind of stuff. Trust me, it's difficult. That's a whole different pipe dream, and you can just, I normally, if somebody's like, oh, I can give you money in the back, and I'm normally like, don't worry about it, just, remember me when you get famous, whatever. And then I just do it. But if they're like I said, if they actually already have a definitive stream of income for what they're doing, like I said, a real estate agent is like, I want to have pictures and videos of this property from the sky so that I can earn my 3 to 6% commission off of selling this property because this helps sell this property. No, you do not get drone work for free because you're directly using my services for commercial services. And technically, I should be a licensed 107 pilot to be able to do things like that. But as a hobbyist, because that's what we're talking about right now, I should not be getting looked to get paid for doing whatever it is. And for me, I'm only doing that if it's a creative project for somebody that I believe in, because otherwise it doesn't make sense, does it? So when you are considering flying for free, make sure you do the following. You consider the risk, like I talked about in the beginning. You consider the person, you consider the project, and you consider your time and how you feel about it. It's all up to you. Remember, you're the drone pilot, you're the one in control, you're the one that's the technical expert that has the expertise and the technology to provide these people with whatever they're asking you for. So never lose sight of that. And if you don't feel appreciated, wanted, loved, or whatever you want to feel about it, then you shouldn't do it. Otherwise, like I said, support creatives and make sure you help them out. Droners, thank you for listening to this Droner Dialogue. And I have a couple thoughts of like the next thing that I'm going to talk about. I was thinking about talking about like the gimbal operator for the drone user versus the pilot and the relationship, because that's kind of a big deal, or something similar to that. I don't know. What do you guys think? Otherwise, make sure you check out more Droner Dialogue, because Droner Dialogue goes hard, and you should share these videos because they do. Or you should check out the opening video for Droner, because it's pretty cool as well. And like I just said a few seconds ago, make sure you share this video with your people, because that's what will allow us to be able to get people to do the subscribe thing and hit up the Patreon thing, because that's what allows us to do this. We need that. So please do that, and please stay fly.